system. 0.
Welcome back to the OGB, the podcast. So today we have a homeboy, Ruben. Ruben is here with us, having a sit down and chopping it up about his life and everything that happened through there. Ruben,
How you doing? Nice to meet you. Yeah.
nice meeting you, brother. Thank you. So how you been, brother? Everything good with you?
Been all right, man. Been
That's
all
right.
right. A lot better being out here free.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir. Yeah,
for
I know
sure.
you. We were chopping it up before. It's been out for 2 years, and I'm sure it's different world now, right?
Yeah, way different. You'd be surprised of, the difference from, 10, 12 years, how much things change out here. People, lifestyles, family, like just so many elements around you that change that you
Yeah,
don't really see,
correct.
down to the phones,
Yeah,
down to the phones. When I first went in, it was like Blackberries, and then now they have all kinds of technology and
yeah.
AI. So yeah, it's a big difference.
Big
Yeah.
difference. Big difference. So, who's Ruven? How was your where did you grew up, Ruven?
So I grew up in Edgemont, California.
Hmm.
It's a borderline between Riverside and Moreno Valley,
Okay.
Riverside County.
Yeah.
So I grew up there pretty much. I was born in Riverside, but from the age of 3, I grew up in Edgemont, and yeah, that's where my story begins.
That's
3
good.
years old, and
You went to school out there,
yeah, I
and
went to Edgemont Elementary, and I continued going to school, and pretty much been out there this whole time.
this whole time, were you family, parents, mom and dad involved in your life?
So dad, not really. Dad, he's always been in prison, in and out. Struggled from drugs. So I had him in, here and there pockets of my life.
Hmm.
Uh, but the little times I had him, I enjoyed those times.
Yeah.
But I understood what it was, because my aunt went to prison, my uncle went to prison. Like all my aunts were on drugs, like, so I kind of knew what it was at that age. Like, I'm gonna see people and I'm not gonna see people, and when I see them, just appreciate it. And I knew that at a young age.
Okay.
And unfortunately, even I knew I was going to prison. I used to talk to my cousins. We have conversations to this day where they were like, "Hey, do you remember we used to hang out?" And you used to tell us this, and they said I used to tell them like, "Hey, one day I'm gonna go to prison and I'm gonna go to the hole and I'm gonna do this." So at a young age, me not realizing that I'm saying this, they still remember me saying that and then ending up in prison. So it's deep. It's deep.
Yeah.
It's real deep. So
Wow.
yeah. So my dad wasn't. Not that he didn't want to. He loved us, but he had a drug problem. He was from the barrio, and
Hmm.
he was in prison. And moms was there, great moms, did everything she could, but again, struggled with drug habits. And like, one thing I give it to my mom is that she's sober now. One thing I give it to her is that, like, all my cousins, um, plenty of my cousins, should I say, ended up in foster homes. Like, to this day, we don't know where some of them are, but my mom kept us. Regardless of her struggle with drugs, she always, like, we had a home, and eventually she overcame that, and yeah, she's been there the whole step of the way. Like, a mother's love, you can never
Yes.
do wrong. So
Right.
yeah, that was my upbringing.
Well, shout out to mom first of all. You know what I mean,
Yeah,
for holding it down, and at the end of the day, you said it right. She was able to keep you guys together
yeah,
over all the struggles and
yeah,
all of the
yeah,
lives it gives you.
yeah, for sure. I grew up with my brother. It's only us two now.
Okay.
But yeah, we grew up right there. So I have two sisters also. They're a little younger than me, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, my brother.
So you guys, are you trying to so your brother and yourself grew up on the same atmosphere, affiliation and getting active and all that because of your dad and family.
No, my brother actually, he did go to prison, but he actually avoided the life. He
Okay.
actually avoided the life. He's not from like a neighborhood or nothing,
Okay.
but he grew up there. But he was actually able to, you know, not. He went to prison once, learned his lessons, and he's successful. He's his own business owner, and he owns two houses right now. So like, although we had the same life that
Yeah.
we grew up in, we took different paths.
Different paths.
And
Any stories that you remember where you were growing up out there in Riverside?
good or bad?
I mean, both. You can share
I
both, brother.
mean,
You can share both.
I could say the first trauma I went through was my mom, of course, was on drugs, and
Hmm.
my dad was not present. So my mom had friends, and I mean, then I didn't know, but they're my older homies now
Hmm.
because these guys were around, and I ended up being from there, whatever. But the thing I could remember is we're watching TV. Um, I still remember we're watching The Simpsons. It was around like 7, 8. I'm probably like 5 or 6, and we hear a gunshot. gunshot goes off, and unfortunately, one of what is my older homie now, he shot himself in the head, man. So he died in the house, and I just remember being scared for my mom. Like I knew she was there, so I ran in the room, and I think that was the first trauma, that I seen growing up. Um, and as far as good stories, like young,
Hmm.
I can't really besides playing and throwing rocks at each other.
Yeah.
Like my childhood was not Disneyland. It was not theme parks. I didn't see that. So as far as like good moments was just like time I spent with family.
I understand.
Maybe a dinner, maybe a walk, but nothing major where I could remember like, oh, we did this.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah,
When you encounter that in a situation about, rest in peace, your homeboy that,
yeah.
shot himself, how did that impact you as an individual, as a young kid?
I think it kind of made it normal for us to know that people around us were gonna end up dying and going to prison.
Hmm.
I would say in a sense kind of made us numb, not heartless, but
Hmm.
numb to it. To the point where like things would always happen, and it was just like we knew like that was part of it. Just like the drugs, just like the prison, just like it's just the environment we grew up in. But yeah, I think I felt more for my mom because I was her friend, her good friend, and I seen her hurt. So seeing your mom hurt, you're gonna feel a certain way.
I understand.
And yeah, yeah, it definitely had an impact on us.
I'm sure
Yeah,
that was pretty hard at that
yeah, yeah,
age and that
yeah, for
time. You
sure.
know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's something that is unexplainable.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
still at this age, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, for sure.
So you're growing up and stuff, and you get into trouble. What was the first thing that got you into something that you were like, shit?
Man, the first time I was just talking to my wife about this. The first time, uh, it's crazy because just the other day I went to work on
Hmm.
the street that I first got arrested on. So I was telling her the same story, but I could remember growing up, I was barely getting into high school, and I didn't have good shoes. I had a pair of Filas. I still remember. I'm a size 8 or
Hmm.
size 10, and you could tell they were big on me. So my first crime was, you know what? I'm gonna go make some money. So I went and I stole a stereo, and I got arrested for it. The last time I stole,
Okay.
because I learned my lesson. I'm not a good thief. But yeah, that was the first time I got in trouble. I was like 13 years old, got arrested. Mom picked me up. And then after that, it was like things went downhill. But second charge, I ended up getting caught with a gun at school. For me growing up, it was like, you know, anywhere else,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say glorify violence or say, it's crazy or whatever, but we went through our things growing up.
Correct.
And you know, I, the gun was a necessity for me, even
Yeah,
on school campus.
I
And
understand.
I wasn't the only one that had guns on school campus. I just was one of the ones that got caught, unfortunately. So yeah, that was my first big charge. I was like 14 years old. And at the time the Columbine happened, so they're like, give me street terrorism, uh, threats to terrorize a school. Like it was beefed up, because it's like it barely happened. I'm on campus with a gun. Those were not my intentions,
Hmm.
of course, but that's what I end up getting busted for my first like big thing. And then after that, every 2 3 months, I was in and out, in and out. Once I became from the hood,
Yeah.
that was it. I was trying to be the best gang member.
At what age you got involved into that?
About 13, 14 years old. Yeah.
So you went and chop it out with your homeboys, and you were like, "Let's get it popping," or
Nah, I
how was your
just like
introduction?
anywhere else.
Yeah.
Just I grew up, so all my homeboys to this day, um, besides guys that are older than me, are elementary friends. We all grew up there. We
Hmm.
all end up being gang members.
Yeah.
My childhood friends right now, he's doing life. He's my crimey.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, he's not coming home. But yeah, we just grew up around each other and just like end up being from the hood. That's where we grew up.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah.
What are your thoughts now that you are reminiscing all of this and thinking that could have been different route? You could have ended up.
Um, I don't know. It's hard for me to envision a different route. Honestly, it's hard for me to say like if my dad was there, then I would have did this, or if my mom was not on drugs, I would have did this. Because honestly, I felt like I don't know. It might sound crazy, but I felt like this is what I had to go through. This was part of my life. This is who I am. This is what I got to go through to do what I have to do or what I'm here for. Somehow, some way, whether it's bad or people see it bad. Like at the end of the day, like I had to go through this to become the person I am today. You know,
Yes, sir.
I don't take nothing back. You know, I
Mhm.
don't. I don't. You know, I believe I'm a strong believer in everything happens for a reason. And you know, even going to prison, like if I would have never went to prison, I would have never met my wife, and we would have never had our son that we just had. So
Mhm.
how can you take away anything? You know, like you have to just know that things happen for a reason. And at the time they might seem bad, or you might seem like your life's gonna be that's the end of it. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you see like, oh shit, that's why, you know,
Yeah.
that's why that happened, you know, and it builds character, you know. You don't never go through nothing, you ain't never gonna learn nothing, you know. So yeah, I to answer your question, I don't feel like my life would have been any different, you know, and I'm not sure I would want it different,
Of course.
honestly, you know.
That's a
Yeah.
great answer. At the end, embracing overall,
Yeah.
all the situation. So you're out there, putting work for yourself and putting your name out there.
Hmm.
At what stage you went into prison and you started doing the big times?
So I was about 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I could speak on this as public records, but I was about 18. There was a fight with my homeboys, of course. There was a handful of us, and somebody got shot, and we all got blamed for it. We all got blamed for, you know, back then they didn't have the aiding and abetting. That's something that just is new to the system as far as being abolished, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
people are coming home from. But yeah, so pretty much all six of us that were involved in the fight, whether we shot or not, we were convicted for it. You know, so you know, two of my friends got life. I got 20-year sentence on a plea deal. Another friend got 15 years. Yeah, it was a mess, you know, it was a mess. And you know, unfortunately, two of my friends still doing life. One that's doing 15, he's home. I did almost 12 years, and I had till 2032. I filed for the petition, the 1437,
Mm-hmm.
which was a struggle. It was a struggle because it was for murder.
Mm-hmm.
So they had 1437 for murder. If you're not the shooter and you're aiding and abetting, you go home. But because I was for attempted murder, they're like, it doesn't, you don't qualify. So for years, I fought it. I fought it. I went up to the Supreme Court, and I argued the fact that, you know, to convict somebody of attempted murder, the criteria is the same for murder. So how can you not qualify me under? And sure enough, we got it overturned, and it came back down. And man, here I am. You
That's
know,
good. Well,
I had like 6, 7 years left. So yeah, but
congrats. You're out
yeah,
here home and now doing your thing.
yeah, yeah,
Going back
yeah.
into you going through that process, what was your way of thinking at that day of when you're already in jail, you already got booked and shit, and you're already inside, with doing real time.
Yeah.
What was your mentality going through all of that?
Well, for me, it was a little different. Not to veer from your question, but it was different because everybody got arrested they within the days of the crime.
Hmm.
I was out. I was on the run for 5 years. So to answer your question, by the time I went in, I was already prepared to do life sentence.
I see.
So my crime has already got life. So by the time 5 years later, I finally get arrested, and I go in there, and I'm already prepared to do life, you know. But fortunately, I bowed out. I was able to bow out. I had some family, friends, and people that love me. And although I was, a mess up, they trusted me, and they put their house up. And, I had $1 million bow, and, I got out, and they offered me a deal. They offered me a deal for 20 years. And, all my crimes were already doing time. So it was easy to sign the deal. It was just me by myself. And, man, they saved my life, So I was able to sign the 20 years and go in. But yeah, I was prepared the whole time since the day that the incident happened. I was prepared to do life.
So you were on the run and
I was on the run.
you were the only one. Everybody else
Everybody was busted.
got picked up.
Yeah. And I was on the run for 5 years. Yeah.
That's a long time,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah. And I was working. I was working in my real name, but yeah,
It
it's
wasn't your
crazy.
time.
Yeah, it wasn't. And I mean, the hardest part was, signing the deal and having to turn myself in from the streets. Everybody was like, "You're crazy." But my thing is, at the time, I owned a house and my kids lived in that house.
Hmm.
So I had to make the decision: do I take my kids to Mexico and run, and they live this messed up life and end up going through what I go through, or do I turn myself in, keep my word to my family, and my honor, my integrity, and deal with what I did?
Hmm.
Like at the end of the day, like I'm not innocent. I'm not innocent, and so yeah, that's what I did. I turned myself in on a 20-year sentence. but knowing that my kids were gonna be fine, you know, and they weren't gonna have to go through the struggle I went through. Minus, you know, of course, they had me absent, but they had a place to stay. They were okay, and you know that was the thing. Yeah, it's crazy.
What was the process you making that difficult decision of you turning yourself in?
Um,
Because I'm sure you were still being a knucklehead at that time, regardless.
I mean, I couldn't because I was on the run. So, um, those 5 years was me just trying to figure out how to stabilize my kids to make their situation as best as I could for them before I go. Because every day of those 5 years
Yeah.
was long and exhausting. I'm gonna tell you like this. At the end of it, I wanted to go to jail because the stress and the pressure of knowing that one day you're just gonna go to jail, it's a lot. It's a lot. People, I mean, I'm sure people in my position or ever been in my position, like being on the run's tough. You know, you can't do certain things, you can't do this, you can't do that. And at the end of the day, like just the stress of, you know, knowing that at any day you could get snatched up, it's bothering, you know, it bothers you. So yeah, that process was pretty tough. Yeah.
So you one day you were like, I'll make sure my kids, my family are good before we jump
At
to
least
that.
that was the plan, you know. That was the plan, but you can't prepare for that. You know, I was naive, I was young. By the time I went into prison for this case was I was like 25, you know, so in my head I'm like everything's gonna be perfect, everything's gonna be fine, they're good, you know. But I was naive, you know, my kids struggled, they didn't have me there, things happened, you know. So yeah.
How many kids you had at that time?
So I had three boys,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, I had three boys, and the youngest one was like 3 weeks when I had to turn myself in. You know, so yeah,
Sure, that was hard.
yeah, most definitely, especially living through that. Like my dad was not there because he went to prison, and now I'm in prison and I'm not there for them. It was a fucked up feeling or a messed up feeling.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
understandable.
yeah, yeah. But you know, and maybe it helped me understand my dad a little bit more too, because now I'm going through what he's going through. You know, different circumstances. Because of course he had drug problems.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a drug problem because of his drug problem. I didn't want to be like that, you know. So not to say he's a bad person, but just the struggle and what he goes through. He, you know, he's a heroin addict, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing that made me like not want to do drugs, you know. So although my dad, you know, heavy on drugs and he's in jail right now trying to do his thing and get sober.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my thing is that if it wasn't for him, I'd probably be a drug addict because all my family is. But seeing how bad he was made me not want to do it. Save my life, you know. Yeah, it saved my life.
So
And
you didn't do any drugs, no alcohol, no.
alcohol, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, party. I did experiment at, you know,
Yeah.
13 years old. But as far as heavy drug user or you know, doing drugs every day or, you know, consistently, nah, you know. Um, but yeah, I do drink, I do, you know, hang
Okay.
out and, you know.
I understand.
Mhm.
So going back to you, you're going in prison and stuff, and
Okay.
you're turning yourself in, right?
Yeah.
What's So you did you went? Can you give us a little more detail as that part has you went through you called 911. What was the whole get
Oh,
down there?
to turn myself in.
Yeah.
So nah, so I got arrested. Um,
How do you get arrested?
I was at a homeboy's pad.
Okay.
So I wasn't in the hood for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I'm like, I want to go kick it. And I go kick it with the homies. And a cop happens to be passing by and he recognizes me. Next you know, the whole squad's on me, boom. Get down, you know, and I'm like, all right, cool. I had a fake ID. I thought I was good, you know.
Yeah.
They're like primary suspect in blue. I was the only one with blue on, so I knew like that's it. And the cops came, they checked my tattoos. It was done, you know. So yeah, I got arrested, and then I was in the county for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Then, like I mentioned earlier, they bailed me out. So I was on the streets for like another year and a half fighting my case from the streets. And then they finally, so they weren't offering me no deals because my crimes got life. And then finally, you know, it's crazy because when you're in the streets,
Mm-hmm.
the way that you're treated is way different than when you're in county fighting your case. So I'm in the office with the lawyers, and you know, I'm walking into I'm walking into the courtroom. I'm seeing jury. I'm seeing, you know, victims and families, and you know, it's crazy because you're
Mm-hmm.
in the streets. You know, so case in point is that um, I was able to talk to my lawyer and tell him like, hey man, like, I mean, of course I'm not innocent, but like, you know, work a deal for me. Like,
Help me
you know,
out.
I know at the end of the day I got an answer up to it, but come on, life sentence, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he ended up talking to the DA, and the DA, she offered me 29 years. She's like, if this dude gets out one day, I want him to be so old he can't even commit another crime, you know?
That's what he said.
Yeah, it was a female. She said, he's one of the main ones in the case. How can I give him a deal? You know, I want him to be so old that he can't even do nothing, you know? And so yeah, I just, played my cards, and eventually I got him down to 20 years, one strike. And I signed for it with the agreement to give me one more week in the streets. And yeah, I spent the last week with my kids, and after that, I turned myself in, boom, into the county. I was in the county for like 10 days because you do it quick because you're already going upstate your sentence. So I did like 10 days in the county, and then they shipped me up. I went, first prison was in Wasco and Reception.
Mm-hmm.
I was right there. And then after that, I went to Calipat, did a couple years in Calipatria. And then most of my time, the last like 9 years, I did in High Desert.
High Desert.
Yeah, Susanville. Sea
Yeah.
Yard, I was right there for quite a bit of time, you know.
How was that encounter?
Uh, I mean, just like any other story, it's prison. It's prison, and you're busted. You're locked up. You make the best of it. You find your program, and you program every day, repeat it. The program goes fast. That's it. You're done. Yeah, wake up in the morning. Shower,
Mm-hmm.
brush your teeth, do all that. And whatever the program is, every prison is different. So whatever the program is, whether you got yard in the morning, you got day room, phone calls, um,
That's it.
yeah, that's it.
You had any work or any hobby in there?
I took like songwriting class. I took poetry classes. I took guitar class. I took self help Gogi, and anger management, and just things just to better myself and get an understanding of myself and who I am. But yeah, I did take what I could, what they offered. Some
Yeah.
places don't offer nothing.
Yeah, it's true.
It's unfortunate, but some places, they either got a lot of people or waiting lists, or now it's better. Towards the end, it got better, but before, you just did your time. You did your time.
What do you mean it got better? Which
Like
way?
as far as programs,
Okay.
so they started introducing more programs, more just incentives for people to start doing better.
Mm-hmm.
People, because before, unfortunately, they used to offer a lot of programs to these other yards that are like more, I mean, they're PC yards,
Mhm.
they're SNY yards, and in the eyes of the state, they see them like they're trying to change their life more than somebody on a GP, a mainline. So unfortunately, like, we got the bad end of the stick. So now they're starting to implement on level fours, 180s. They're starting to give you programs. They're starting to give you more yard, more day room. We got tablets. People are able to call, like, message their loved ones,
Mhm.
free phone calls, like, so it's more of a, they're trying to make it like more rehabilitative state than just you know
Yeah.
do your time and come back.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much though. I know a lot of dudes that got out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all doing good, man.
It's great.
All of them. Every single one got a job. They're doing good. They're not rich, not yet at least, but
Mm-hmm.
they're working towards something. Everybody, every 20 years, 23 years, 15 years, like all these guys that I met and that are out here,
Mm-hmm.
they're successful. They're success in their own way, but everybody's striving for something. They're all doing excellent job, man.
You think it's because of the programs?
No, I think it's just due to the individual. You do that much time, you're gonna reflect a lot. You're gonna reflect a lot, and you're gonna learn. You know, um, yeah. So I just think it's on the individual. I feel like the programs might help a bit, maybe like controlling your anger, and but you gotta want it, man.
Yeah.
You gotta want it. You gotta want success. You gotta want better. If you don't, you're gonna be stuck at the same spot all the time. So yeah.
What was going through your head when you were, doing 20 years and the last 9 years that you were up there,
Yeah.
the desert? What was in through your head? You just want to do your time and that's it, mind your own
Yeah.
business, stay in
Well,
your lane, or what
yeah,
was?
yeah. Stay in my lane, most definitely. Be quiet. Just stay in my lane.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the best way to do it. Just do your time. I'm not a nosy person. I don't care to know nobody's business. I don't care to speak on nobody's business. At the end of the day, I'm just here doing my time, and if I'm needed, I'm
Yes,
here.
sir. Yes,
That's it.
sir.
And be productive. Man, a lot of it is daydreaming. Daydreaming and trying to uh plan, because I actually had a date. Although I had a long time, and although maybe I knew in my head that I might not make it home
Hmm.
because of the environment. Um, I still was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm a plan, and I'm a manifest success when I come out. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to do now. You know.
So you say you had a date?
Yeah. So I'm not I was not a lifer.
Okay.
So you know, if when you speak, oh, this dude got a date. It's like he got a date to go home. But because where I was at, a lot of people weren't coming home. You know, there are a lot of lifers in 180 level 4. You know, so a lot of people are not coming home. So when I say I had a date, you know, I actually had a date that says, okay, September 2nd, 2032, I was coming home. So that was the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I had to plan, you know. But like I said, fortunately, I filed for. Man, everybody told me, you don't qualify. Why are you filing? You're gonna waste your time, you know. And I could tell everybody today, did I waste my time? I saved myself 8 years, you know. I didn't listen to nobody. I just kept doing what I did, filed all the paperwork, and everything found place. Next thing you know, my wife's calling me like, you're getting released. So the last month and a half was the longest month and a half because I knew I was free, but I couldn't leave until they processed everything, you know. But yeah,
Man, that's a
yeah, it's crazy.
The term, right? We don't have to roll.
No, I actually, so how that works is, initially, so we got arrested with 6 people. We all got charged for the same charge. But now that they abolished the aiding and abetting, they could only charge you for what you did in that crime. So what I did was fight, you know, because it's all on paperwork. They have, you know, whoever they have on paperwork as a shooter, like you don't gotta file nothing, you gotta say nothing, you don't gotta testify. At the end of the day, whoever they have on paper as the shooter, everybody else gets kicked out. So you just file and you're gone, right? But case in point with that is that, um I was accused of fighting. That's my part in hitting somebody with a baseball bat. So what they did is they resentenced me to 4 years. So they said initially you should have had only 4 years. So we're gonna resentence you to 4 years. You're 8 years over. So no parole, no probation. So I just came out free. Like free, no, yeah, nothing. You know? Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. You know?
how's that processing inside and you hearing all those words or reading you paperwork?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what? I'm gonna tell you to this day, it still feels like a dream. Like I'm doing things today, and I'm like, man, is this real? I honestly feel like I was never gonna make it out of prison. You know, just based on the environment and just you know the contents of my character, and you know, I just felt like you know this shit. You know, it's rough in here. You know, so I didn't feel like I would come home. Um, and I did, so I'm making the best of it, you know.
Yes, sir.
Making the but yeah, in the process, like honestly, I'm still processing it. I'm still adjusting, you know. I'm still adjusting, and at this point, like man, I feel like I'm a strong individual. I'm smart. You know, I could adjust, I could adapt, but I feel like there's a part of me that never will get back. Because I'm gonna tell you this: when I first got arrested, I told everybody, "Hey, like," because everybody's like, "Man, you're a good person. You know, you're a cool dude, and man, it's unfortunate you're gonna do this time. You know, because you know people see you for who you are, but they don't know you know what you're involved in or
Yeah.
whatever." And I told him, I'm not gonna let prison change me. Don't trip. Like I'm gonna come home, and I'm not gonna let it change me. I'm gonna still come out the same person. I was so naive. I didn't. I came out a different person. I'm antisocial. I hardly like get with my family. I'm like high and by. Like it takes a lot for me. My wife's always pushing me, like, hey, go spend time with your family. You know, and yeah, it's rough. You know, it's rough.
Did
Prison affects you.
impacted you really deep?
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, and not to mention when I was in there, I lost a lot of family. So can you imagine doing 12 years and you know everybody's getting older, and even when I took the 20, I'm like I might not see my grandmas, and you know I accepted that. Um but the last year before, like the last year and a half before I came out, I lost like 8 family members back to back, like crazy. I lost my aunt Judy. Then right after that, I lost my uncle John. Then one of my homies that I know really well, Fail, rest in peace, he died. And then I'm like, all these things like within months, right? And then bam, my grandma dies. Boom, hits me. I'm like, you know. And keep in mind, like we grew up dysfunctional. Like, there's no male figures in my life. My dad's in prison. All my cousins' dads are not in their lives. Like, there's no male figures. There's no male role models. It's all women, you know, that are on drugs. You know, so um, yeah, it was just tough. You know, it was just tough. And after my grandma died, like 3 months later, my little brother OD'd on fentanyl. Yeah, he was in his early 20s. He died on fentanyl. And then like months later, my other grandma died. Yeah, so I'm in there and I'm trying to do my time. I'm in process to try to come home, and all this shit's hitting me, you know. And after I'm trying to like, mourn somebody and go through that process, boom, another one dies, another one dies, another one dies. My cousin died, like I'm telling you, back to back. Just my cousin Lee overdose. So I'm telling you, like, righteously in a year and a half, I lost about like 8 family members.
How do you
I don't know. I don't know. I just know that at the end of the day, I had to conduct myself, right. I couldn't let that affect. I couldn't let it jeopardize me or my character. I
Mhm.
couldn't. And honestly, I feel like there were so many deaths back to back. I didn't even get to before I could process one. Another one happened. So to this day, I don't think I process it. I just, what I do, what kind of helped me cope with it is I always tell people I wear them on my sleeve. So whenever I'm doing something, I do it to my best for them. Like my
Mhm.
little brother, he can't live. My cousin, the OD, he can't live.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna live for him. So when I'm eating a carne asada right there with the family, everybody's laughing and having fun, and I'm zoned out. Like, damn, they can't be here. So I'm enjoying the moment. So anything I do it to the fullest. I wear my heart on my sleeve, whether it's changing a fucking tire, that's for them, because these little things that people don't realize or appreciate, you realize that they can't do that. So you need to enjoy any little time you have, and try to live for them. So yeah, I wear them on my sleeve.
That's a great
Yeah,
way to put it.
yeah,
Works for you, and at the end
yeah,
of the day, that's good. And I'm speechless, brother.
yeah. It's a lot.
It's a lot. You hold it down
Yeah,
really good at the end of the
yeah,
day,
yeah,
even though you lost a lot of your families and good friends, like you stated, and you're still working on yourself to become a better person at the
yeah,
end of
yeah,
the
for
day.
sure, for sure.
So now you're going through all of that, and you're getting out and stuff like that. What was your first plate that you got when you got out?
I can remember. It was eggs and hash brown. My wife actually, she actually flew out, got a rental. She picked me up, and I can remember like just the drive. Like, keep in mind, I was on this yard for 9 years, so I hadn't left. I haven't been in a car. She was driving like 20 miles per hour. It felt like 100 miles per hour. I was holding on to the car. It was crazy. And then she takes me to the restaurant. Right, you remind me. I forgot about this. So we're eating eggs and I get hash browns, whatever. So I eat eggs and hash browns, and I still remember hearing all the clutter, like the noise from the plates. Because, in prison, you got plastic
Yeah,
and everything, and you don't have metal, of
correct.
course, right? So I'm hearing clink, 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 like enhanced, like to the point where I was like, hey, we got to leave. She's like, why? I was like, you don't hear that? It was normal to
Hmm.
her, but my sound was so sensitive that I could hear it every time somebody was hitting the fork on their plate.
No
And
way.
the whole fucking restaurant, it was so loud, and I had to leave. But yeah, I had hash browns and eggs. Yeah,
Did that make you uncomfortable at that
yeah,
moment?
yeah, yeah. It took a while. It took like maybe like 6 months before I could be in a crowd and be around people, and like even being at home. Like, I came home to my wife, so I met my wife in prison. She
Okay.
she ended up writing me. We had tablets at the time, and um, you know, my best friend. We found love.
Oh,
We got married. She married me in there. We were getting family visits, and yeah. So when I got out, I came home to her, and but just even coming home, like her family was there, and people. I would just go to the room for like the first 6 months, 8 months. I just go to the room, and like that was my comfort zone. So I just like get my plane, go to the room, and they'll be like, "Hey, come out!" Like, they're trying
yeah.
to, and I'll tell them like, "Hey, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just not comfortable yet. I just wasn't. I just wasn't comfortable. So yeah, it took a while.
How long? How long did it took you for you to get more comfortable? What was that process?
I'll say just the beginning of this year, I kind of feel like a little adjusted. I'm able to be
A
around.
year.
Yeah, like the beginning of this year. Yeah, it took a while, man. It took a while. But you know what? I think a lot of it was because I hit the streets running. Like, I came out, and a week later I was working. I didn't give myself time to, like, my wife was like, kick it for a month, but my wife was struggling when I was in there. The
Mhm.
economy was so bad, and I felt so that's the worst feeling. Like, can you imagine being in prison and your wife's like, I can't pay the water bill, or I gotta borrow money, and you can't do shit. You ain't making money in prison. They're paying you pennies,
Mhm.
30 cents, pennies. They're paying you
Mhm.
pennies. You're not gonna provide. So coming home, I was like, I need to work, man. I need to work. I need to work. I need to work. So with that being said, I worked a week later, and I haven't stopped. And so I think that slowed down the process of me adjusting. And I feel like me adjusting was due to my work that I do because I had to engage with customers. I had to talk to people. So I started engaging with customers, and I think that's what helped me get to where I'm at now, where I could actually, talk to people and I
Hmm.
feel comfortable.
Are you able to go to functions and stuff like that?
Yeah, now I am. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good now. But it took a while. It took a while. Yeah.
What was your first new job that you got when you got out?
Okay, so the job I'm working on is the job I started. So about 2.5 years ago, I got an interview with the
Hmm.
job, and I was honest. I told him, hey, look, man, I just got out of prison. You guys fix pools. I don't know much about pools, but I know how to do concrete. So if you guys, are fixing a pool and it needs some cement, I could do it. And they're like, well, what else do you know how to do? And I told them like welding and stuff that didn't matter to them.
Hmm.
But I told him I could learn. I'm a quick learner. Just give me a shot. And the company's called More Leaks, and yeah, man, they gave me a job fresh out of prison, 1 week out, and yeah, I just started. It put me under training. I was training with the owner, John, and yeah, they showed me how to do what we do is leak detection, pool leak detection. So if your pool's leaking, we go find your leak. We have different devices to find the leak, and we actually fix them and yeah, that's the business. But they gave me a chance, man. They gave me a chance fresh off the back, Fallon. Like they didn't care about none of that. They're just like, all right, man.
That's a blessing, brother.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the name of the company again?
More leaks.
More Licks.
Yeah,
Well, shout
more
out to
leaks.
More Licks. You know
Yeah,
what I mean, for giving you the opportunity and trusting in you.
yeah.
I mean, that's. You think that helps on the anyone that is being released for that amount of time that you did, for any job out there that are willing to trust.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, and people could say I'm being biased or, because I'm a Fallon, but I honestly feel not to say that we're more harder workers, but we're gonna appreciate the job more. And for the majority of we're gonna work our ass off to prove that, because we do have something to prove in the work field. You've been gone so long and you don't know. Like you're gonna, I struggled. I didn't know a lot of stuff. And I struggled for the first like 6, 7 months and but once I picked up on it, I just ran with it. Boom, I just ran with it. But yeah, I do feel that these companies that are up and coming or successful, like yeah, they need to give chances to Fallons, or don't just judge a book by its cover. How many books have you read and the cover's not all that, but the book's the best book you ever read. So my thing is that yeah, I feel like people should give, everybody deserves a second chance, even a third one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That part. So now you're working on pool and doing all of that. What other trade you have under your sleeve?
So I'm a welder. I'm a certified welder. Before I went to prison, I was doing electrical pulls and
Okay.
driving cranes, forklifts, tractors. I've always been successful in working. I've worked since I was 10 years old. I always had hustle. Um, all my family on my dad's side,
Hmm.
very hard workers. They come from Juarez, from Chihuahua, and um, they're just all my uncles, even my dad, like everybody that I know, like from my dad's side, they're just hard workers. And I've always been like I never had a problem with work. But yeah, I drive cranes, tractors, forklifts, um, my jacks, welding. Like I have a lot under my sleeve, but the job I have now, that's my passion, man.
That's good.
I've learned it and yeah, I love it. I
You
love my
love it.
job, man.
That's the key, right?
Yeah, yeah. Love it.
Loving it.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you address when you need to talk to customers and all of that? How do you?
So usually they'll have them on schedule for a certain time.
Hmm.
So I'll call them like 30 minutes before I get there, let them know I'm en route. Um, Knock on the door, introduce myself, Ruben more leaks, and just ask them like, hey, what's going on with your pool? Like what's your water bill? Is it high? What are you noticing in your pool? What ideas do you have in your mind that the leak could be at? Because a lot of times people know where the leak's at. They just need a professional to
Hmm.
actually like this is what it is because they're gonna spend thousands of dollars. They want to make sure it's that for sure. So yeah, I'll go and we have a thing called hydrostatic test, which we test with dye. We have a hydrophone. We listen device that's a sensitive mic that goes in the water. And once we hear things that sound like leaks, then we plug up the pipes and we pressure test the pipes, make sure that all the pipes are good. Look for structural damage and just inconsistencies with the plaster and
Hmm.
the cement and yeah. And once we locate their leak, then we give them a bid and if they go with us, we go and repair it, and yeah, that's what
That's
it is.
dope, brother.
Yeah,
That's dope. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's good.
You come long ways,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
for
honest
sure,
with you. You know
for
what I mean?
sure. Yeah,
And I think what you have currently today, even though you went through all the harsh time, you know, doing better. You deserve
yeah,
it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Yeah, for sure.
slowly become a better person.
Yeah.
I've noticed in your media,
Yeah.
you're rapping. Can you give us a little
Yeah, yeah.
insight on that part?
I go by Tiny One.
Mm-hmm.
My hood name was Tiny,
Mm-hmm.
and I've ever since I've been from the hood, I've been making music, but never on a serious level. You know, like I have a lot of people that were pushing me to do music, and I was just into the streets, into gangbanging. You know, my brother he raps too, and he goes by Johnny Boy, and he was pushing me. I was just on another tip. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't my path, and but I had the talent for it, you know. I definitely would do songs here and there, but I went to prison and I had time and I wrote songs and I had a story to tell now, even more than before. And yeah, I just last year I started doing my music again and it's a big passion of mine. I love making music. I love performing. I love, just doing my thing with the music, And so yeah, just like last year I put out my first song and then I linked up with Cheeks from West Coast Soldiers, and
Mm-hmm.
she started getting me into lowrider shows. And people look at it like, oh, it's small, but that's our cultura, that's our gente right there, that's our people, and that's what I push. So I go by Tiny One, and my I wouldn't say label, but what
Mm-hmm.
I'm pushing is something called the Real Movement, the Real One Movement,
Yeah.
and that's like trying to keep our culture still rapping, but trying to keep our culture alive within my rap. And yeah, shout out to Cheeks, West Coast Soldier. She's been getting me in shows, and um, when I started telling people like I'm gonna open up for Lefty, I'm gonna open up for this fool. I manifested it, and look, this on the 22nd of July, I'm gonna open up for Lefty
That's
Gunplay
right. That's
in
right.
Yuma, Arizona, and then I'm going to Marietta. I'm opening it for him over there too.
Wow.
And you just did a DJ Quick show, so like everything I've been planning, it's just been falling in play. But mostly because the people around me, they see my passion and they see that I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to do something better, and there's a lot of support out there,
That's good.
including you. I reached out to you, and you're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, no,
So
definitely.
yeah,
Try to help as much as we can with each other. You know what I
yeah,
mean? We shouldn't hold us down in any way, shape, or form.
yeah, yeah,
We have a way and a will to do it. Might as well.
yeah,
I think we're in a stage in life that my peace is bigger than my pride.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
I got nothing to show proof. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I'm here to do as much check-in and to help the gente that wants
yeah,
the help. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
for
So
sure.
if you had the opportunity to have a little give an advice to the young kid out there, when started getting out there gang banging and getting
Yeah.
involved in shit like that, what would be the advice that you can share to that young kid?
I would say know what you're getting yourself into, because I can't tell you how many times it's like you don't know what you signed up for. Like, oh, he doesn't know what he signed up for. So I would say know what you're signing up for, know what you're gonna do. And that goes with anything, whether it's gang banging, work, whatever. Like you gotta know what you're getting yourself involved in. And if that's what you want, then you go full force with it. And you have to accept all the consequences that come with it, because there's a lot of consequences. There's a lot of good and bad things that come from it. And so that would be my advice is that, by all means refrain from, any kind of violence or getting in trouble, aim for success, get your money, work, family, whatever. But if you do get involved and that's something you want to do, then just know what you're doing and what you're getting involved in, because
It's,
it's real, Yeah, it's real.
it's a real,
Yeah,
real
yeah,
thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, for sure.
How is Ruben dealing with regrets and disappointments?
Regrets and disappointments. Um, I mean, I accept everything. I'm accountable and responsible for my mistakes. And I feel like I'm learning from everything. Every day is a learning lesson, and I feel that everything I had to go through was for a reason, and I feel like I'm in a good place right now. Yeah, I do.
Does Ruben have any regrets?
Yeah. I can't say I do. I can't say I have regrets because, like I said, I feel like everything was meant to happen the way it needed to happen. Because today, the person I am today, um, I'm content with that. I look in the mirror, I know who I am. Every day I look in the mirror, I know who I am. I don't question it. Um, and I feel like it was a process that I had to go through. So I don't feel like I have regrets. I just feel like I made mistakes and I learned from them.
You
Honestly.
embrace them.
Yeah.
That's right, Ruben.
Hmm.
With that being said, is any if anybody out there wants to get at you for any future shows or anything like that, or at least for a pool league, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there any way to get at you in the
Yeah, so you
media?
could look up as far as pool league detection, you could look up more leagues. They're on there. You can find them Google, whatever, you know.
Hmm.
And then as far as my music, I go under Tiny One. I'm on IG. I'm on TikTok. And shout out to West Coast Soldiers. You got Cheeks on there, and yeah, got a lot of stuff coming up. And hopefully in the future, you know, I do want to, you know, start something. And you know, as of now, I don't own a business,
Hmm.
but you know, that's the plans. You know, so hopefully next time I could come up here and share that with you. You know,
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now, man?
um, honestly, I don't know. Right? I'm not seeing that far. But my first thing on the list is being a homeowner. I'll be the first person to own a house.
From your
You know?
family?
Yes. Besides my brother, you know,
Hmm.
but like yeah, I feel like that's the goal. That's the first mission, is to, you know, make sure my family is good. Once I could secure that, then I could do what I want to do. But yeah, definitely want to get into business. Right now we're in the early stages of real estate.
Hmm.
So with more leads, we're talking about combining something. So hopefully that's what it is in 5 years, you know?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
overall, hopefully you goals are able to make. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And again, thank you for choosing this platform.
Yeah. Thank
Or,
you.
you know, get at me and try to and choose us to share your life story.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's highly appreciated. Thank you for the viewers. Thank you for everyone out there that's, like I said from the get go, you guys going out of your ways to make this platform what it is today. Ruben,
Thank you.
homeboy,
I appreciate you.
highly appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing your life story. Just always remember that people will respect you as much as you respect yourself. So we'll see you in the next one.
Right. Peace out.
Fucking